Hello everyone. Today I wanted to participate in the tag by Thislittlepiggy 41 asking the question, is your Reborn collection a shameful secret? Yeah, so Dyson Ash will be participating, and I just changed his pampers. He's wearing this cute honest pampers that have the orange giraffes, really cute. And I will dress him in this long sleeve onesie, says Little Speedster, really nice. I love the colors, like the green and white stripe, and has like the gray trimming, very nice. No socks, I won't put any socks on him, and I am going to feed him a nice warm bottle. Yeah, so back to my tag. First of all, I have to say that my experience have not been as severe as other person's experience. I think, well, for me that is, I think what makes it, or the situation, really upsetting is when someone that you know has such a negative attitude towards your hobby. Like, I've never had anyone that I knew wrote anything negative on my channel in my comments. I've never had that happen before, but I have had one incident of a person that I don't know that wrote 3 different messages, all being negative. And so what I did was I blocked them, because I'm not going to tolerate that, really. I just blocked them. And for me, I think it would be really devastating if it's someone that I knew that wrote something so negative, you know. It would really be hurtful for me, I think. And I've had an experience with a really good friend. She and her daughter was making fun of me and my dolls, the American Girl dolls. Both she and her daughter fell to the ground laughing at me, and it hurt. It really did hurt. And so what I did is, well, she's a good friend. I've known her for over 20 some years, and I didn't allow that to really like come between us per se. I just did not include her in anything that had to do with my dolls anymore, you know. Like, for an example, she doesn't know that I collect the Reborns. She doesn't know that. Now, I had a difficult time from my immediate family, especially my mother. My mother could not understand why in the world would a grown woman be collecting dolls. Like, she just couldn't understand that. And keeping in mind, growing up, my mom was not she was not keen on buying gifts. She didn't celebrate birthdays with us by purchasing gifts and stuff. She didn't do that. She didn't bake a cake. I could recall her baking cakes occasionally, but it was never for a birthday. Like, once in a while, she would probably bake a cake on Sunday, but that was not for any birthdays that I can recall. There was never no opening up gifts for birthdays, or, you know, I just don't understand why. I'm thinking because it's not any particular reason. Like, she's not, it's not because of her religion. Like, some religions doesn't celebrate birthdays, and you know, and it's not that. I think it might be that growing up herself, maybe like her parents didn't exchange gifts, or, you know, like observe special occasions per se. I don't know. I really don't know what the reason is, but she didn't, you know. And don't feel bad for me, because trust me, my mom purchased 2 houses. So today I think, and I say to myself, well, maybe she just invested her money wisely. because my mom, like I said, she owned 2 houses today. Not just her and my dad, but she was the one who, I guess, push to achieve certain things, and my father supported her, you know. Yeah, so so my mom, back to what I was saying, she could not understand. Like, it really troubled her. I could recall one night she called my house. My husband answered the phone. It was after 10 p.m. at night. I was so embarrassed. My mom called my house, and she was very upset because she noticed that, well, at that time I had shipping problems. So a lot of my dolls, with my sister's help, was being shipped to my sister, and my husband just walked in. Anyway, yeah, the dolls were being shipped to my sister. 1 minute, I'll be right back. So my dolls were being shipped to my sister, and my mom knew about all the dolls being shipped. So I guess one night I don't know, one night she just couldn't take it. She called my house after 10 o'clock at night, fussing, upset. I mean, she was pissed that I would be buying dolls, like wasting money on dolls. That was her words to me. And I couldn't answer her because my husband was there. And of course, he's curious to know why is my mother calling so late at night, because she doesn't call that hour. And, you know, I had to put on a straight face because I didn't want my husband to realize that my mom was fussing me. So I just was serious, and I answered, and not in a way for him to detect what the problem was. But anyway, cut a long story short, like I said, my mom had a huge problems with my dolls. And yeah, and you know, it hurt, but keeping in mind that I'm a grown woman, when we spoke about it again, I told my mother straight and plain, I said, listen, I said, my husband supports my hobby. He doesn't have a problem with me collecting American Girl dolls. I said, in fact, he treats me to it. And she knows that now. She understands that. So, you know, she started to like leave me alone because she realized that, you know, he was a part of it and he was okay with it. So she left it alone. But the funny thing with my mom is the first time when she met my Emma, which is my Reborn doll, my mom fell head over heels in love with Emma. She could not get over how Emma looked so real. In fact, she would make the joke that the one thing men cannot do is breathe life. You know, so in other words, what she's saying is they can make a replica of something, but they cannot bring it to life. It, you know, like breathe the breath of life into it. So anyway, I say all that to say this. Yeah, you're gonna have family, you're gonna have friends that don't support your hobby. There's some persons that you have to be flexible with, and I think family is one. Really good friends is another, but to a point with the friends. So what I do now is I'm very selective as to who I share my hobby with. I mentioned in my last video about my niece. I had shared Dia with my niece because my niece seems to be a reasonable person that and very respectable person. So even if she didn't agree with it, I sort of got the indication that she would not disrespect me or be rude and stuff like that. So because of it, I felt comfortable to share Dia with her. And she loved Dia. Actually, she loved Dia. But I think that I like to be fair with a person. Like, I can recall myself when I first learned about the Reborn dolls. I didn't understand it. I just stumbled across a channel. I think it was one of the silicone babies at the time. I noticed this doll that looked so real, that moved and bent, and this doll that had private part and all that stuff, and I was just amazed. Really, I was amazed. And then I continued to watch, and then I started to realize I didn't know the difference between the silicone dolls and the Reborns. I didn't know that at the time, but I started to notice that there was the Reborn dolls, the body being different. I didn't understand that it was vinyl at the time. Keep in mind, I was just learning, but then I was fascinated by it. Really, what I thought was a little bit like strange was how persons were changing the pampers or feeding the baby bottles. Like, to me, dressing was fine because, you know, I had American Girl dolls, and of course I dressed my American Girl dolls, but I just couldn't understand why persons were doing like role playing, like feeding the dolls bottles and changing the pampers. It took me a while to catch on to that, you know. And then I started to realize that, you know, these Reborns, you know, they look so real that you sort of automatically start to treat them as a real baby. Like for my sister, for an example, like when I went home and I visited the family and my sister hold Emma for the first time, she started rocking Emma, you know, because they look and they feel and they're flexible like a real baby. So, you know, you start to get that feeling that you're holding a real baby. So I think your reflexes, you know, are naturally to say rock, you know. But so I like to be fair to a person that don't understand anything about Reborn dolls, and their reaction, it depends on the personality of the person. Like, I can almost tell if a person respects another. See, once you respect another, then even if you don't understand something, your attitude towards it would be a little bit different. Like, you would realize that, well, that's her thing. That's something that she enjoys. So I'll just stay out of it, even though, you know, the person might think it's strange, you know. So, yeah. So that's how I deal with situations. I don't have a problem, and I'm not ashamed of sharing my Reborns. Like I said, I shared it with my niece. I shared Dia, but I'm very selective. If I think the person is sensible, reasonable, then yes, I don't have a problem sharing. But if the person seems to be like very unreasonable, then no, I'm not going to share my hobby with them because I don't expect them to understand it, you know. So that's the way I see it, basically, you know. Yeah. So like I said, I have a really good friend that don't know anything about my Reborns, and I don't intend to share it with her unless she like visits and accidentally sees the babies. Then I'll like explain it. But you know, I'm at a point now where if somebody laughs or is disrespectful to me, I'm going to approach that person on it. I'm at that point because as grown adults, you have to respect another person. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, you have to respect that that's that person's right. If that person chooses to have a hobby that makes them happy, even though someone may not understand it, that's their right. Especially if there's no harm, especially if you're not hurting anyone, and especially if you're not someone who like not being responsible, like not paying for your Reborns yourself. Now, if you're borrowing money from family members and from friends for your hobby, and if they say something negative to you, then that's on you. Because honestly, I feel that if I don't agree with something and you're coming to me to borrow money for something that I might think is senseless, then I might have to say something about that. But if you're supporting your hobby and you're doing what makes you happy, and if I'm not involved in it, then I don't have anything to say. I don't think I have the right to, honestly. So I think you just have to be open-minded, you have to be fair, and especially with the reborns, you have to allow persons that don't understand. Yeah, they're gonna have a little funny reaction, but if they're not being disrespectful to you, then so what? You know, but if they're being disrespectful to you, then I think it's something that you should approach them on. Really, like, I didn't say anything to my friend when she and her daughter laughed, you know, at me for collecting dolls. I didn't say anything, and this was, you know, I didn't say anything, but I'm saying today, yes, I would say something, really. So that's basically it. I hope I answered your question. And here's my handsome little man. He is dressed and fed and pretty happy. Yeah, so that's it, everybody. So thank you all so much for watching, and thank you, Thislittlepiggy 41, for the tag. I enjoyed it, and I welcome more tags. So thank you all so much for watching,